Hey, everybody, it's Pete Carmasino with Chaikin Analytics. I'm the Chief Market Strategist here, and this is our weekly show, halftime here on StockCharts TV, produced and sponsored by StockCharts, our friends and affiliates over there. We really appreciate all the work they're doing, and we like to come every week with some ideas. Today, we're going to be looking at both some ideas to be looking at to purchase on this sell-off that we're having right now, and we're going to be looking at some other ideas to potentially avoid that are breaking down. And following up from last week when you started to see some of the food groups fall off, and they're starting to continue down today, Campbell Soup, Hershey being a couple of the names, we'll start looking at some other names that we may want to start looking at potential opportunities to step into. But we're going to go over the market really quick. I mean, obviously we're down, right? I mean, I don't need to go into detail. It's a sell-off. We've got the Dow Jones, we've got S&P 500, the NASDAQ, all down over 1% or more. And they're really testing structural lows, right? That's kind of what we're looking at. We've been talking about different levels. We're going to look at the levels on the S&P as well. And but look, we've got structural tailwinds in the market, and I think that's going to last for quite some time going forward. But we do have to be cognizant of the volatility that's here. We've got seasonality in play. We've been talking about for weeks. We also have obviously the debt ceiling and a lot of other things happening outside of our control. We've got Evergrande over there in China that's potentially causing some financial difficulties, and that could have some repercussions in other sectors that could affect us. But look, we've got a lot of things on our own plate here, the debt ceiling being one of them. We got FOMC meeting this week. There's a lot of activity here to digest. But what we're going to do first is we're going to dive into the charts and take a look at what we can find, where we can find opportunity, and that's what we're here for. Let's get to the charts right now. Okay, everyone, we're going to start off with the S&P index right here. I've got a candlestick chart up on a daily. We've drawn some trend lines and some areas of support and resistance that we think are important on a daily basis. And really, we're seeing this level right around that 43.70 to 43.50 area, kind of being an area of an important level. Now, Mark Chaikin called out 43.60, so I'll give you a little heads up on what Mark Chaikin is thinking out in his newsletter. And we agree, because it's really a range, right? It can't be exact. We wish it could be, but it's a range. The S&P can trade through that, consolidate at a low, and potentially move higher. We did have a little bit of that action this morning, but we did get some follow-on selling. And right now, I'm looking at the S&P down about 1.77% that we're seeing here today. So I mean, you can see that right here, 1.78. So again, we're following these levels of importance. Mark's overall level is right around this trend line here, around that 42.50 as being a pretty decent sell-off. That's another 2.5% from here. But if you start to look at what's happening from the top, right, 45.45 was the top print on this index. A 4,300 level would bring us about 5.3% off of that. So 42.50 to 4,300, could be our area where we pull back to. That would break a couple of trend lines here, but hopefully hold on the longer term basis. As I said, structural tailwinds are in our favor here at the in the current environment. We've actually been oversold here, obviously on a 5-minute chart. But if I go back to daily, we're not quite there yet. And I'm using an RSI 21, but we're not quite there yet. But I think that's something that you want to be cognizant of. So that's just a quick overview of some things that are happening here in the markets. But let's get to some of the areas that you may want to avoid in these current areas that we find ourselves in. So I'm looking at, let's see, the first particular one is AMC Networks. Now, remember, this is not AMC, the theater. This is the network company, right? So AMC, the theater, is American Multi-Cinema. AMC, the network, is American Movie Classics with an X on the end, AMCX. So what are we seeing? We're seeing a neutral rating, but why am I calling out an area of concern? Well, we're right on support, right around this 44 to 48 range, and where it's had some trouble before. And so if we see even up to 49, and anything kind of breaking down below this could be the break of what we might want to call a triple bottom here, right? And so why am I concerned about it? I'll pull up the name so you can take a look on our side and just to see what I'm seeing from the Chaikin point of view as well. The stock's down about 1.8%, so in line with the market, but it's the same setup. But we have something here that is occurring. It's an overbought setup with negative relative strength and a neutral rating. Now, the rating isn't so bad, right? Don't forget, neutral to me, and kind of the way we look at this internally, is just as much upside as downside. And so it is really in a range. And if you looked at this chart, not knowing anything about it, you might consider it a range bound chart. But again, I think these levels are important to bring, and worth noting, bringing forward and looking at these and saying, okay, we've got negative money flow, we're overbought, negative relative strength, and a neutral fundamental rating. Okay. So using that with the tech setups here, even on the ACP platform, along with this neutral rating, be cognizant of the fact that this is in a downtrend and it is in a situation that could get worse. The next one is, I'm going to probably mispronounce this, but I think it's Acushnet Holdings. It's obviously a company that's involved in the leisure product area, probably golf by the symbol. I'm just taking a guess. But if I start to look at what's happening here, I'm just starting to see this area. It's a very similar setup. It's a little bit closer in range, so it's tighter. We've had these areas of support and resistance kind of meeting each other, and you're starting to see, you can see the 50 and the 20 kind of overlapping back and forth, back and forth. So no real direction, more range bound. However, MACD failing, and I see the RSI 14 starting to roll over a little bit. But again, if I go take a look at the Chaikin charts, let's look real quick. I pull up Acushnet Holdings. Okay, leisure product. They manufacture and distribute golf products in the US, Europe, all around the world, looks like internationally. And so I have the same kind of setup. I've got pretty big negative money flow. We hit resistance on a long-term trend. We are neutral. We're weak in the trend. We're weak in the industry. And the relative strength had weakened, started to fight back a little bit, but I'm looking at this saying it looks to me like it could have further downside. So those are the two I'd be concerned about. Let's look at some names really quickly from last week, like Hershey was one of them, HSY. And we'll see what that's doing. Just a quick update. It's kind of been sideways. It moved back and forth, but we got a money flow sell on it again. So I'm still looking at names in this sector to be, aware of. If I looked at Kraft Heinz, we did last week as well. We'll look at that same kind of setup, right? A continuation of trend. We're overbought again, negative money flow here, and negative relative strength. So those are the names that continue to kind of sour and move a little lower, but just be cognizant of that. Let's get to some of the names you might want to consider on a watch list. The first one that's coming up here is Extra Space Holdings. Now, obviously a fantastic trend here, right? We are running into what's considered maybe a valuation downgrade on our power gauge, but the rest, the technicals, the earnings, and the experts are all bullish. Keeping a bullish rating here is important. We want to make sure that we stick with that trend. This could be an opportunity here. Obviously, it's broken the 20-day. The 50-day is right up next for support, and it really comes into an area of consolidation before. So it's nice to have that double barrel opportunity here where there could be some really strong support here. But if we go to the charts real quick on Chaikin EXR, Extra Space, and if I take a look at what's happening there, you've got that setup, strong trend. We're still in a strong trend. The industry's weak, but I'm okay with that. We can stray away from that particular setup as well. But you got a great dividend. It's an okay PE, not great, but you can see the financials aren't strong, but we are oversold, big money flow, amazing relative strength, and a bullish rating. Those are good things to have on your side. Next one is Macy's. We called this out last week for some of our users on the intraday note, or the daily note, I should say, and similar setup, except financials, everything is looking great. And we have a very bullish setup. Now, this one's holding up decently today. I mean, it's not selling off. I don't think we're losing faith in the consumer in this market. But if we continue to see these trends where we've had a market sell-off, hopefully the buy the dip people come in and help us out. We're getting close to an area of, again, resistance. Support on the downside that has to hold, and any previous support is now resistance. So the same thing is on these stocks, right? So we're getting in the area where we're on support here, right around this 20.5 to $21 range. It's pulling back. It would be nice maybe to wait to that $20 level if you put an order in there. Maybe you might grab the stock, but you're looking at a name that's in great shape financially, great money flow, oversold, and strong relative strength, right? Another one is Nvidia. Obviously, this has been a fantastic name for many years. It's bullish, and it's definitely in the spot where it's oversold. Once again, you're looking at the 50-day kind of coinciding with areas of consolidation. And if I go and look at Nvidia here, NVDA, real quick, what am I going to see? Well, I'm going to see strong trend, strong industry, and oversold buys triggering right now. I got everything in line here. So these are some of the names you may want to consider. Again, don't have to be super aggressive here. You're getting a sell-off support. You know, you might want to see this at least hold that $195 to $200 range, but you know, we're not far away from there. So it could be pretty tight, but the ultimate support would probably be around the 180 to 185. So just be careful with it. But again, these are names you want to put on your watch list. Another one is Pfizer, which we know is heavily involved in the vaccination rollout here in the US and internationally. But again, this is actually oversold and doing the same kind of thing. We've got strong relative strength. We've got an excellent, a very bullish power gauge, and everything is kind of in line here as well. And the last one is Synoptics. Okay. We've got, this is a technology, more of a hardware area, but again, bullish on the rating, selling off, not quite to that 50, but I want to pull up this chart real quick, SYNA. Right, and take a look at this as our last chart of the day. And I am getting an oversold buy as well. Strong trend, strong industry. Everything else is set up just like the other ones that we saw here as well. So, you know, when you start to see these line up, you're getting opportunity here. And on the support area, yeah, I'd like to see, you know, we wouldn't want to see it go all the way down to 160, but it's only 16 points away from here. So maybe 165 would be the ultimate test. But our long-term trend line is sitting right around this 170 area, so about 6 points away. Obviously, that would be a better price, but it looks like it could be holding here and an opportunity to enter at a really good spot. Okay, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks again for joining on the halftime show. Good luck out there. Stay well, stay calm. We got a sell-off right here in front of us. There could be more volatility this week, but be careful out there. Use your technical setups and use your risk management to get you through times like this. Thanks again for joining me, and you guys have a great week. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Hey guys, Dave Keller here with StockCharts.com. Thanks so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, and we hope you did, hit the like button right below. Also, we have so much new content every day. Consider subscribing to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the video or right below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a fantastic day.